All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, we are talking about remote working, right? So we have a special guest with us today, Omolara McCloud, and we're going to discuss everything there is to know about work from anywhere, the future of work. So thanks for joining us, Omolara. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, first of all, for pronouncing my name correctly. That you did a very good job. I actually am a digital nomad who resides in Mexico right now. So I am living the digital nomad dream, if you will. I actually had been residing in Mexico before for 3 years before I started working remotely like I do now. So I am well acclimated to the culture. I actually speak Spanish. I'm almost fluent now. So for me, living abroad is probably a lot more easier than, a lot of digital nomads. Although I have a lot of friends that live abroad and they don't speak any kind of Spanish. So it's not that hard if you don't want to learn. But yeah, so I'm living a dream right now. I love being able to work remotely. I actually fell in love with working remotely and living abroad about, I want to say 7 years ago, where it was a big movement and there was a lot of digital marketers, hippie guys on YouTube, like, oh, if you work remotely, you could travel the world and live anywhere. And it turns out it's more marketing than anything, because I actually recently found out during my latest job search that most of the remote jobs require you to live in the US anyway. So unless you start your own business, you're pretty much, even as a remote worker, kind of stuck in the US. So right now I'm seeing that change, thank God, because Mexico's getting to the point where it's so many Americans moving to Mexico right now that you can't even get an appointment anymore. Like I lucked out, but I'm a part of a lot of different Facebook groups where they talk about relocation and stuff like that. And they just sent a notice like they're not making any appointments right now because they're so slammed with visa applications. So wow. With this trend, I definitely see there's going to be a lot more companies that allow people to live in different countries instead of being stuck in the US. So that's what I'm here to talk about today.
Yeah, no, and I love it. I'm actually very excited. I've done, I don't know, a few dozen of these, and remote work is near and dear to my heart because it's exactly the reason why I applied for the job I'm in now. And to start off with that, I mean, it's a mindset, right? It's not for everybody, but remote work is nothing new. I mean, once the internet started, remote work started. We're talking a few decades ago. So why do you think the accounting industry deems it as like this new new concept, new idea?
I think it might be because accounting is just like so behind in everything. And it's so funny because I was listening to the Cloud Accounting podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about the shortage that the accounting firms are having, especially the public accounting firms. And so I was like, oh, a shortage. Okay, then they're going to let me live in Mexico. If there's a shortage, then they're willing to give this benefit that the other companies are not willing to give. And so I reached out to a prominent recruiter in the public accounting space. And I was like, okay, so they have a shortage now. Are they going to let me live abroad? And he was like, nope. He's like, yep, they're desperate, but they're not that desperate. So I think with accounting, there's just a lot of red tape, like a lot of old conservative thoughts that you kind of have to battle for them to make any changes. And I think that's a big problem in our industry.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I remember when I started this job 5 years ago, I literally had to spend or at least allocate the first 10 minutes of a client call and helping them set up Zoom and helping them, get online and helping them to just with technology. And it was bizarre. And now folks have, virtual backgrounds and they're excited. They're sharing video screen. I mean, it adopted quickly, right? But when and you're right in the fact that it's a mindset into where it's archaic thinking, because this is not a new concept whatsoever. Now, when folks bring up, team oh man, I can't say that word, camaraderie and office culture, you lose that, right? So share your thoughts on that and how, you've been able to overcome that in the positions that you're in.
Yeah, I don't think I've lost it. And to be honest, like you can probably tell by talking to me that I'm a really friendly person. I'm very friendly. But I don't like people. Kind
I
of like
love
an
it.
old lady. Like I can take them just like small, short bursts of them, and then after that, I'm like, okay, time for a nap. Like so, working in the office wasn't the best thing for me. Like I actually really became depressed because,
Oh,
especially being around accountants all they do is complain, 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 complain. It's pretty much, oh, I hate my life, and I'm hearing that like every 5 minutes. So working from home for me is night and day. And between Slack and being able to Zoom my manager whenever I have a question or whatever, I feel like I haven't lost the work culture. And to be honest, I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm so happy that I don't have to go to lunch with people I don't like. So for me, I feel like it's the best thing ever. But someone that's trying to advance as fast as they can in their career, maybe they will need that face-to-face interaction.
right.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been on many calls to where I ask the client, "Hey, so do you have a remote team or remote workforce in place?" And yes or no. There's always a concern that I'm used to. In the saying is, I'm used to just walking down the hall and going over to their office and speaking with them. And so I say, well, why can't you do that now? Look at us. We're on a Zoom call, right? It's even quicker than getting up, walking out your door, going down that hallway. All you got to do is hit utilizing technology, whatever you're using, Teams, Slack, Blue Jeans, Skype, Zoom, and the other person's online faster than you can walk down the hall. And when I say that to a client, they just freeze. Right? They don't understand that rather than walking all the way down there, with technology, just makes it work. And so I agree that if it's a position to where you need to be around a team or support a team, it could be difficult, but no matter what, technology makes this work, right?
Yeah. And I like to say also, when you're in the office, they don't always walk down the hall. Sometimes they'll pick up that landline phone and dial your extension, which is the same thing they can do now. They call me on my cell phone if they really want me to pick up right away, then they'll call me on my cell phone. So
Yep, yep. So share your thoughts on firm size. Firm size is irrelevant. It could be a firm of 5, firm of 50, or 500. When a team is about to embark on a remote journey, if they haven't yet, right? What are some expert tips to get this off the ground with the team?
well, I think your tech stack is the most important. And to automate everything you can. Like my firm, they automated the onboarding. So we had Loom videos that were pre-recorded for the onboarding process. So no one had to take me step by step. I just watched the videos. And a lot of our processes, as far as our client standard operating procedures, those are documented through Google Docs or Dropbox, and then also videos if it's very complicated as well. We use Slack a lot. So we async, we're on async communication. So if my boss needs something, she'll just ping me on Slack, and vice versa. If I need something from her, I'll ping her. And then from there, we'll establish whether or not we need a Zoom call to address the issue. But most of it can be handled with just IMing like it was before. Because even when we were in office, most of our communications were through instant messenger. Yeah, it was if it was like if it was like something really detailed, it would be through email. But if it was something like, hey, this blah blah blah, this work paper, blah blah blah, I don't know what to do, then that would be instant messenger. So it's kind of the same. It didn't really change that much.
Yeah, the folks always think that just because they're not in the office that they're not working, right? And even then, if you had, there's still technology that you could utilize, or you could send an end of the day update, or you could track your projects in Monday.com or something, or even in a Google spreadsheet. So there's ways around that. But some of the kickback I hear too, which is understandable. I mean, I'm a single guy in New York City, so I don't have the whole the kid aspect, and so when families, right, they kind of love the commute. They love to get away and just, that's their time to relax. I always hated my commute, but I think of it from a different perspective. Folks wanted to get away. They wanted to be in the office for other reasons. So what are your thoughts on, I think first and foremost, all firms should have a remote team in place, but a hybrid, right? You can come and go as you please. You can come into the office. You don't have to be fully remote, right?
Yeah, I definitely, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I had a client a couple months ago and she was like, yeah, I love going to the office because she had kids. And I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that. But now that you mentioned that, I think if I had kids, I probably prefer to go to the office too. But yeah, so I'm single. I don't have any kids. So for me, of course, home is my oasis. It's just a peaceful,
Right.
like it's just, it's so peaceful here. So I do like the idea of hybrid as long as they don't force the people that want to work from home to go into the office.
Right.
Because in applying to jobs, I have seen positions advertised as remote, but then they're like, go to the office once a week or fly to San Francisco once a month. Like, if it's remote, what am I flying to San Francisco once a month for?
Yeah.
So
What's the point?
I do agree with hybrid for the employee desire. If there's employees that want to work remote and there's employees that want to work from home to accommodate that. But as far as productivity, I feel like everyone's different. For me, like I said, I'm way more productive at home because I don't have any distractions. And so my firm, we do timekeeping, so they know that I'm productive. But also my clients, I'm like, I'll respond in like 2 seconds. So they all know that when I'm there, I'm there. And when I'm not there, my phone is not getting answered as well. So I think there's ways to track it. I'm not really keen on the watching your browser the whole time or like looking at your screen. I feel like, you should be able to trust who's working for you. And I think the work and the product should speak for itself.
Exactly. Yeah. And absolutely agree with that. And there should be flexibility if your firm's not remote or not set up for remote, got to get that done right away. And you're absolutely right. You got to start with technology, build that out. There's some, pre-work to do to get this off the ground effectively. But I see that the millennial workforce, right? I'm an elder millennial, so I'm born in 82, so I understand what it's like not to have internet, no cell phones, to all of a sudden having it. So as a geriatric millennial, according to LinkedIn, the workforce now, I see that, and speaking with clients, they're saying fresh graduates, no experience, they're making this a demand. They want, a set amount of money, work remotely only, and they're coming into this with a different mindset. So it's more about, and I don't think the accounting industry wasn't prepared. It's more the candidate saying, what can your firm do for me? And it's never been like that. Have you seen or heard about that at all? Or what are your thoughts on kind of somebody starting new? Do they have to go in the office or can they stay at home?
I read that statistically, most of the people that work remotely are millennials, because to advance in your career and to really learn, at least this is what I'm hearing, theoretically, hypothetically, you need that face-to-face interaction. And since we've been in our field 7 to 10 years, we've already had that, we've already put that work in. So that's why most of us are able to work remotely, because we're experienced professionals and it's very easy. And with the great resignation going on right now, and there's a competition for talent, it's the mid-level career people, not the fresh grads that the competition is high for. And so it's us that have more say in how we work and what we want to do. But and like I said, I did read, like, even though Gen Z wants to work remotely, it might benefit them to work in the office a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years, to get that experience on their belt, to get that face-to-face mentorship and make those networking connections and then work remotely.
Yep. Yeah. If you've already had the experience and you're seeking to work remotely, I agree. You should be able to have that. But somebody that's fresh, yeah, you need to kind of develop yourself first. It could be a few months or it could be a few years, right? There's no time frame, but I do believe that you got to get into the office first and kind of build your brand almost and get to know the team before you work remotely. But the idea here is that this is going nowhere, right? I mean, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's going, to progress. Where do you see the future of remote working? Do you see folks, being bounded only to stay here? Do you see them working in different time zones? Do you see more technology coming into play? Where do you see the future of this going?
Well, I see a lot of 4-day work weeks starting up because I've been following this for a while because I think in 2019, 2020 is when it's really started to take off in Europe. And now it's really starting to take off in the US, which I'm surprised. I didn't think it would come to the US that fast. And so I'm hearing that if you have 4-day work week here and then 4-day work week in another country, then you're still able to work, pretty much 24/7 if you time it right. So I think that's a future as well as being able to work from anywhere. I don't think, my first country, I actually went to Dubai. That was my United Arab Emirates was my first country out of the US. And there you don't have to pay any income tax,
Right.
No income tax at all. So, if I'm an employee, a remote worker, you might lose me to a company in Dubai just because I can move there and not have to pay income tax. So, I think companies are really going to start thinking more globally and do what they need to do to keep the global citizens and the world travelers like me that are looking at everything. Like I'm looking at second passport, third passport, tax, not tax liability, but tax avoidance, as much tax avoidance as I can, So I think they're going to have to start thinking in that way because at the end of the day, if they don't give me what I want, I'll just start my own business. So, and that's what the top talent can do. So they really have to be careful right now. Like right now is a defining moment for our work culture, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. As this continues and as the industry evolves and you're going to have to kind of make your firm very attractive, right, to work for. And so and with staffing shortages going on, it's made folks realize that you could hire in other countries, right? The demand in India has just skyrocketed. It wasn't prepared for it either. But it's really made folks comfortable that, okay, it's a remote team, right? Why the heck am I just bounded to my state, city, or country? So it's really opened up the eyes here. And so we've seen quite a bit of influx of demand come in, and it's been good, right? But the idea is that there's not really any problems. There's always solutions. You just have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, though, today, it was very awesome speaking with you. But would you like to share any final thoughts with our audience?
No, I think pay attention to the trends. Both companies and employees need to do what they need to do to stay at the top of their field.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Omolara, thank you so much for joining in. This podcast today is brought to you by Entigrity. Feel free to like, follow, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that jazz. So you stay tuned to the latest episodes that are upcoming. And also check out our website, Entigrity.com, for virtual conferences that we are doing to help out the accounting community. Omolara, thanks again for joining. Take care.
Thank you.